Welcome to Red-Handed Crimes channel. Don't forget to subscribe. It was a warm summer evening when 6-year-old Ethan Carter vanished without a trace. His mother, Julia Carter, had taken her eyes off him for only a moment at the neighborhood park. 1 second, he was there, playing on the swings, his laughter echoing in the air. The next, he was gone. The search began immediately. Police combed through the park, questioned bystanders, and issued an Amber Alert. Volunteers flooded the area, calling Ethan's name into the night. But there was nothing, no footprints, no security footage, no witnesses who had seen anything suspicious. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. Days turned into weeks. Julia appeared on every news channel, pleading for her son's return. The case became a national sensation, but as months passed with no leads, the media coverage dwindled. Years dragged by, and while Julia never gave up hope, the world moved on. The case went cold. Julia never stopped looking. She kept Ethan's room exactly as he left it, refusing to let go of the possibility that he would one day come home. She hired private investigators, followed every lead, and combed through thousands of online photos of missing children. But nothing ever led her to Ethan. She wasn't the only one who felt the loss deeply. Ethan's father, Daniel, struggled to cope, the weight of guilt breaking their marriage apart. His older sister, Megan, grew up in the shadow of her brother's disappearance, learning to live with the gaping void in their family. Then, 10 years after that fateful evening, Julia sat down on her couch, exhausted from another day of searching. She turned on the TV, more out of habit than interest. A news segment played in the background about a local high school basketball team. Then, the camera panned over the players, and her heart stopped. There, standing among the team, was a face she could never forget. The same piercing blue eyes. The same dimpled smile. Older, taller, but undeniably familiar. It was Ethan. Julia's hands trembled as she called the police, unable to tear her eyes away from the screen. The authorities responded immediately, launching a discreet investigation. The boy in the video was identified as Ryan Matthews, a name unfamiliar to Julia but eerily close in age to what Ethan would be now. Detectives visited the Matthews home, where Ryan lived with his father, a man named Greg Matthews. When questioned, Greg appeared cooperative, insisting that Ryan was his biological son. But Julia's intuition screamed otherwise. A DNA test was ordered. While waiting for the results, investigators dug into Greg Matthews' past. What they found was chilling. Greg had lived under different aliases in multiple states, always with a young boy by his side. The descriptions matched Ethan's age progression photos almost perfectly. When confronted, Greg's demeanor shifted. He denied any wrongdoing, but his inconsistencies raised red flags. Days later, the DNA results arrived. Julia's heart pounded as the detective read the findings aloud. It's a match. Ryan is Ethan. Greg Matthews wasn't Ethan's father. He was a drifter with a dark past, known for conning his way through life. Investigators pieced together the horrific truth. Greg had abducted Ethan that night in the park, taking advantage of a brief moment when Julia's back was turned. He moved from town to town, changing identities, forging documents, and keeping Ethan isolated from any memories of his past. Ethan, now 16, had no recollection of his former life. He had been raised to believe Greg was his father and that his mother had abandoned him as a child. The revelation shattered his world. Julia approached her son with tears in her eyes, but Ethan hesitated. He had been conditioned to see her as a stranger. The road to healing would be long, but Julia was willing to wait. For the first time in a decade, hope filled the void that had once been unbearable. Greg Matthews was arrested and charged with multiple felonies, including kidnapping and identity fraud. Justice was finally within reach. Ethan's story made headlines once more, but this time, it was a story of hope, a mother's unwavering love and a lost child finding his way home. Though scars remained, Ethan began the process of rediscovering who he truly was. Yet, beneath the relief lay an unsettling question. How many other missing children were out there, living under new names, unaware of the lives stolen from them? For Julia, there was only one answer: she would never stop searching. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.